Next fly we're going to tie is probably the most important mayfly emerger. Pre-done emerger pattern just popping up to the surface. And I write about this in our new little book on pheasant tail flies. I was laying in the weeds one day on probably the most famous spring creek in Montana, if not the world, watching these big brown trout, 3 huge brown trout right at the end of my nose, taking emergers. And I couldn't figure out, I mean, I tried them with every fly known to man. Finally, I'm nose to nose. The biggest fish was about 23 inches, I judged. And I'm serious, I'm within 3 feet of them. And I can watch these PMDs emerging just barely subsurface. And as they were crawling out of their nymphal shuck, as that first little peak of color was emerging out of the pheasant tail colored nymphal shuck, the fish were grabbing them. Fully formed, done, flow right over, thousands of them, they wouldn't touch it. But this goddamn stage, and so often this is the case on spring creeks and on smooth flows, whether it be the Missouri, the Henry's Fork, the famous spring creeks around Livingston. You have to tie a fly like this to even be in the ball game. So I went home, I was all excited, went home, tied some samples, went back. I'm not saying I caught every fish, but I'd catch 2 out of 3 the next day, and I really felt good. And I caught one of those big 20-plus inch fish. I taught him the meaning of the word respect. You can tie this fly with or without a shuck. I like to put a little shuck on it. Some guys, and sometimes I'll tie some with or without, but it's always easy if you get a refusal with a trailing shuck, just take your scissors on stream and cut off the shuck. Give it a shot. So with that, I'm going to take some Zealon, dyed mayfly brown Zealon, and tie on a shuck. And I love this hook, this 240, XC240 BL hook, because you can slope that shuck down the bend of the hook. And if you're a solid student of dry fly fishing, you'll understand what I mean, because so often these emergers are trying to crawl out of that shuck. And during huge emergences, this is what you'll see, that mayfly is cupped, is bent, and they're just struggling like mad to get out of the shuck. Next, I'll take 4 or 5, maybe even 6, depending on the size, pheasant tail fibers off a ringneck pheasant, and I'll tie those on, and I'm going to wrap those forward, and this is going to form the abdomen of this very simple fly. And this fly is so easy to tie and so effective. It's durable, very easy to see, and just the perfect color of an emerging dun, whether it be a Flavolina, Western Green Drake, or a Pale Morning dun. Notice how I crisscross my wraps back to the shuck, the tie-in point, and back again forward to the tie-off point. And I'm now about 2/3, half to 2/3 of the way up the hook shank. Right now I'm going to tie on an emerging wing, the wing that's trying to sprout, they're struggling. You'll watch them sometimes with their legs trying to escape that shuck, and you watch the wings, they're trying to pull the wing out of the shuck. So this imitates those wings, and you can tie it varying lengths. I like to tie it a little long for visibility and the fact that it accepts more floating. This is Parapost or Zealon. You tie that on and now you trim it. But you don't want to trim it totally flush with the hook shank or with the abdomen. You want a little bump of it to stick out, because that looks just like the bump of wings behind where they're really trying to push out of that shuck. Next, I take, and I love this stuff, Semperfli, their Kapok dubbing. It's really super fine. It's even a little bit finer than the super fine dubbing that's on the market. Both will work in this case, whether it be super fine or the Kapok. This is the Sulfurea, which is a real bright yellow, as you can see, and it imitates the emerging dun color as it crawls out of the nymphal shuck. And all I'm doing here, if you want to be real fancy with this fly and you've got some CDC feathers you want to burn, you don't have to, but you can put a CDC as a backing wing to this. A lot of guys like to use CDC, makes it a little bit more visible, but CDC is getting harder and harder to find, and it's certainly not necessary. Now I'm going to figure 8 around that wing with a few wraps, of the superfine dubbing come forward. Now I'm going to finish with a whip finish. And notice we still have the wing butts right back here. That's important because this material, whether it be parapost or Zealon, floats like a cork. That'll just add in the flotation. The wing here is a little bit up higher than I like to push them forward like that. And you can see how this wing, if I can get this out of the vise, see how that flares around the body, and it's going to help the body to float upright. But there are some times when they'll only take a fly tipped over, like a tipped over sailboat. So with that, there are times when I will take this wing while fishing and actually cock it over so that the fly falls like this on the surface. They'll take knockdown duns, knocked down like a knocked over sailboat. Don't be afraid to try that technique when you come upon fish that won't take an upright fly. Anyway, that's the pheasant tail mayfly PMD emerger. Easy to tie, inexpensive to tie, floats very well, and it's just a pretty little fly to have in your fly box.